Man, Auburn landed a really good in-state defensive lineman, and they may not be done doing that.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of the Portal Locked On's Recruiting, Transfer Portal, NIL show, hanging out with us as Auburn lands its second member of its 2027 class. Donovan Moore joins Tank Proctor as Alex Golesh's first full class as Auburn's head coach. Donovan Moore, big 6'4", 280-pound defensive lineman from Hueytown. Brian, we've talked about this checks a lot of the boxes of importance. Winning in-state recruiting battles and winning on the defensive line. Those are the two things you talk about more than anything, and Donovan Moore checks both of those boxes.
Yeah, this kid I saw last year, and like standing next to him, he just screams Southeastern Conference. Okay. 6'3 plus, he's athletic, he can rush the passer, even though he's an interior guy. Good personality, and he plays Hueytown. For those who don't know, that's on the edge of Birmingham. Same program as numerous kids have went on, Jameis Winston included. That's a kid that's probably going to play by his sophomore year at Auburn. You can't have enough 6'3", 280-plus guys that can move. That never really goes out of style, and he had offers from everybody. Arguably the best player in the state, and again, D-tackle. They're just, if you want to know how important they are, look at the portal. How many good defensive tackles were in the portal? 1, 2? I mean, they're just, it's all projects. It's all upside guys, or guys are coming off knee injury, this and that. They just don't leave, man. People pay them to stay. You have to hit on high school D linemen. And that's why the top of the board programs really don't change much in college football, because they know that. Auburn they're recruiting it well. I mean, this is year 3 or so in a row. Like, they're getting D tackles. That changes your program, and he's one of the very best.
Yeah, the 247 composite and then Rivals has him as the top player in the state. Do you see him as the top player in the state of Alabama?
I don't know who I would rank above him.
Okay.
I mean, Karlos may be up there, but I would put Moore over him because he's more athletic. I need to see a few more kids to be sure, but like, especially because it's a D tackle. I mean, that's who I would take first. If I could just pick right now, I'd have to go through it again, but
yeah, if you got, so Donovan Moore at the top, this is according to Rivals, players in the state. Gunnar Rivers, the quarterback from Fairhope. Right. Jabarius Garor, he's committed to Alabama.
Great player.
Edge rusher. Jatori Williams, looks like that's an Iron Bowl battle, but it's an Alabama lead. Interior offensive lineman. Jalen Scott, who was committed to Alabama. Looks like Oklahoma is leading for him. Cam Pritchett, guy that we've talked about a little bit, he's committed to Oregon. Trent Seaborn, a quarterback that's been well known in the state for a few years now, committed to Alabama. So, I mean, there's some studs, but yeah, I mean, as far as positional scarcity goes, especially with Auburn's situation at quarterback elsewhere, when you look at defensive linemen, he's one. Then you got, am I saying that right? Garor committed to Alabama.
I'm not actually sure. He's a great
3,
kid.
And then Cam Pritchard committed to Oregon at 6. Those are your defensive front guys.
The kid committed to Bama and probably Moore, I think, will be the most highly recruited out of that entire. They're both D linemen. It's not coincidence. So they're both great guys. I've seen them both live, and I would flip a coin on which one you want more. D tackle is just rare. That's why I said. I mean, talent wise, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. But D tackles, again, guys that are 280 and up that can move. There just aren't very many of them. So if I only could take one, I would take more.
Yeah. So there are other names that Auburn apparently seems interested in and possibly could pop next. Karlos May, another talented in-state guy. He's going to be more of an end, though, correct?
He could be a swing guy, could be a D tackle.
Okay.
Possible.
Yeah.
We'll see how big he
6'4",
gets.
305 is what it says. That's larger than the way he moves. I was watching some of his tape earlier. I didn't realize he was that big. Rivals has him as the 14th ranked player in the state. Plays at Ramsey up in Birmingham.
He's a
program
kid
that I feel like we talk about a good bit. So Karlos May, what have you seen from him?
That's a guy that he could play end in a 3-4. Again, this is an SEC body. He's more power. Donovan, I think, is more explosive. This kid, I mean, he could grow into a nose guard. Like when you said end, I'm like, well, it's pretty good, but it had to be a 3-4.
Yeah.
Again, it's just.
I didn't realize he was moving that well, weighing 300.
That's what I mean.
That's crazy.
That's what I mean. Like the programs up there in Birmingham, they are so good. There's so many guys come out of there. It's not talked about enough. To have two of the best D tackles in the country in Birmingham, for you and I is not shocking, but for people outside the state of Alabama, they don't get it. But like that's why this state is always producing D linemen that like the Auburn, Alabama won, and Georgia comes like Georgia's after him, and guys like that. That man, I think his first two visits are UGA and Auburn, so that kind of puts things in perspective. Like if Georgia wants a kid to come in on the first visit weekend, I'm going to take that as a sign. So,
yeah. And then another top 10 guy in the state, according to Rivals, Elijah Brown, another kid that the staff really, really likes. Vontrell King Williams. If he gets all three of these guys, he will be on an absolute heater.
Yeah, because
he plays at Prattville. Elijah Brown plays at Prattville.
By the way, he's the small guy out of the group at 6'1.5", 280. Yeah. This state produces them, man. It just gets D linemen. I'm not saying that I don't know Elijah like personal level, but like I love his film. And he's a guy that's a one gap and go, get up the field. He's perfect for the old school 4-3, play 3 tech, maybe if he gets big up, play 1 tech. And if you're putting him next to Moore, you got the most important guy out of the group, in my opinion, already.
If you get these three guys, I like how the position from a class standpoint is staggered. So when these guys are all true freshmen, the class that are all true sophomores right now being juniors, your Malik Autry, your Jordan Crawford, your Darian Smith, like those guys, Buddy Mathis that you brought from LSU, those guys will be draft eligible. I don't think they'll all go pro, but even if they do, like you've got them staggered to when you're starting having to replace some of those guys, you'll have these guys in theory ready to go. So I think that makes a ton of sense from a roster management standpoint too.
If you're not balanced with your O-line, D-line, Zach, as you know, is following Auburn, like look at their offensive tackle recruiting from like just before 220 to now.
Keep bringing it up. Yes. Dark time. Yes.
It's just
keep bringing it up.
I know. It's amazing because O-tackle is easier to recruit usually than D-tackle in Auburn right now. Like you said, I mean, this is exactly how you want to do it. You'll redshirt one or two of them, but one of these guys, I don't want to guess, Donovan will play and it'll balance itself out. But if you don't get the bodies on campus, it's downhill, brother. And by the way, taking these guys from Bama, because I doubt any of them, they're not at least interested or going after. Offers today.
I think all three have Bama offers. I couldn't tell like how much Bama was pursuing them, but they had Bama offers. But
the whole, is it a committable offer right now? Oh, that stuff drives me bananas, and I wish I could get more clarity, but it changes all the time.
It does, and every staff handles that a little bit different. So, what does this mean about Alex Golesh? And then also, you sent me something that I thought was interesting. I actually talked about it earlier in the week. Let's jump into that in just a moment. Right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Hiring's not just about finding someone who will take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move, because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match your job with the folks that fit what you need best. So if you're hiring, spend less time interviewing candidates, searching through resumes, and let Indeed handle all that for you. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit. All you have to do is go to Indeed.com/podcast, Indeed.com/podcast. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. The winter games are on. FanDuel is the best place to wager on all of that. Also, FanDuel dropped the line for the Auburn basketball game Saturday night, 7:30 tip, local time. Arkansas, a 5.5-point favorite. That seems, I don't know, kind of generous towards Auburn, I think, the way they've been playing, but we'll see what happens in that one. So if you feel like Auburn can sweep Arkansas, pull an upset, take the Tigers. If not, maybe you want to go the other way. Money line's enticing if you think Auburn can win at plus 230. So get in on the action with FanDuel. That's America's #1 sports book. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us. Coaches are obviously going to be judged, critiqued by their first full class. We saw Hugh Freeze absolutely knock it out of the park with his first full class. Alex Golesh, he's kind of touted himself as a hard worker, a guy who's going to get after it regardless of what it is. And I mean, he's been great at recruiting against his peers at whatever level of competition he's been at. Only 2 commits so far, but it does seem like the ball is starting to roll and they're starting to get some momentum. I don't think the amount of commits you have at this point in the season with this new athletic calendar matters as much as it used to, Brian. Am I looking at this through orange and blue glasses, or do you agree with me? You're muted. But I know whatever you're about to say is enticing. Here we go. And electric.
I don't think it's that big a deal. I think the more important data point, how many kids are you getting on campus, committed or otherwise, in February and March? Junior days, basketball games, weekend visit, because that's when your OVs get set. Like we just talked about, Karlos May has set up a visit to the Auburn Tigers. They've had him on campus multiple times. Well, that helps. Elijah Brown only lives down basically in Montgomery. I'm sure he's been to campus several times too. It's not that hard to get these guys up. And if you do, you'll reap the benefits. And if you don't, you got to ask, okay, what's going on? Like, this kid was an hour away. So those are the questions that I have. And then whether they're committed or not, they're probably going to take visits. Do I think Donovan Moore is not going to take any visits? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure he's going to take something. So are you getting him on campus this spring to help solidify his commitment? That's really the only thing I'm looking at.
Well, you know who could commit to the Auburn Tigers soon?
Which one is that?
Karlos may commit soon.
If he does, that would be a boom, because then you would have
nothing for the pun there. Karlos may commit. Nothing for the pun. I don't get anything for that. Not even going to acknowledge it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Not even going to acknowledge it. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, I mean, these 3 guys in state are certainly guys to look at. We'll see, kind of what happens at quarterback. And in fact, you and I were supposed to talk about quarterbacks, but Donovan committed, which is great. Would much rather talk about a commitment than hypotheticals, but we'll jump into the quarterback situation next week, Brian. As far as something you sent me earlier in the week, I actually had Jake Crane on to talk about their list of the top toughest schedules this upcoming season. Auburn came in as the 5th ranked toughest schedule according to those guys. I mean, that has to have an impact. And there was kind of an asterisk next to when they go to Oxford and when they go to Knoxville. The Trinidad stuff has worked itself out. I think actually the Aguilar stuff is happening in court today as we record this on Friday. So we'll see maybe what happens with that. But Trinidad got eligible, so he will host the Auburn Tigers, not Deuce Knight, unless something happens. But so like that game is as tough as it looks on paper with Trinidad getting his eligibility back.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a top 5 team.
They should be. Yeah.
I mean, at worst, like top 8. So yeah, that game became totally different with Trinidad coming back into the fold. But the game you and I have talked about prior, that I think is still the one that's most important. You're the first one to report this, so kudos. It's not what Auburn's final record is. It's A, how they look, perception matters, and B, how did you do against the other first-year coaches? And that Florida game is the one I've got circled. Like, no offense to him, but I'm not scared of Aaron Philo. You know,
that's the Florida quarterback that followed him over from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Buster Faulkner, Really good offense coordinator. He recruited this kid. He played at a very small school in Georgia, and he killed it, but he's never really played many snaps. Now you're going to be the most likely, at least, starting quarterback for the Florida Gators. That's a lot of pressure. And what is it, week 3 or something like that? They go to Auburn. So
yeah,
that game to me is just really for both programs, not just for Auburn, but for Florida. Those two coaches, like they ended up at the opposite schools. A lot of people thought they were going to end up. All kinds of stuff. There's weird stuff to look at from that. But
yeah, no, they're going to be tied together for sure. And there's going to be both of them like psychopaths when it comes to being competitive. Like,
yes,
so that one's going to be important for both of them for sure. So, Brian, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
The Portal Podcast, the same way you consume Locked on Auburn, you can consume the Portal Podcast, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, YouTube, and everywhere else. Check out the Portal Podcast.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.